In this video, I will be showing the progress of the project Vertex Anim, which is a plugin for Unreal Engine that allows to create out of the vertex animations like this one you see here. And I will be talking about what was done in the last couple of months, new features, and what is still remains to be done. So I will show the improvement of the editor UI, and then talk about other things like how the materials are implemented, how we load meshes and textures, operations, and which kind of effect we have. So first of all, most of the work went to the editor UI. You see here, now we have more, much more features in this UI. So I will just, we use Modeling Toolkit from Unreal Engine, and it's very powerful tool, but also not really well documented. So that took some time to study, understand how it works, and I want to say thanks to Ryan Schmidt on Twitter, who helped a lot with my questions. So what we did for the editor UI, we implemented the rectangular selection. You can see here, which was actually pretty easy, already included in the modeling toolkit, but we had to find it. We implemented other feature for the selection inverse. Another thing we implemented is the ability to edit multiple pivots at the same time. All the selection, as you can see here, I rotate one, and those, this one, they are also rotating, and they move in the local space. So if I move this one in the epsilon axis, the others too. Then we have something interesting is the ability to show and hide parts of the mesh, which is useful for this particular mesh because it has inner parts. So I can just hide the exterior and then work on those parts which are seen during the, not seen normally, but during the animation you can see them. Like you see here, you see the interior part. And for implementing this, there was less straightforward. We had to first of all hide the part of the mesh that we hide. For this, we extended the default preview material from Unreal and added the masked mode. And the second part, less visible, is that there is also a data structure for the selection, and this special data structure has to be updated. So if finally the solution was to create a second invisible mesh and use the special data structure for this mesh from the for the selection, and when I had something, I simply remove it from this data structure, and when I unhide it, then I re-add it back. So that works this way. Another thing we did for this is the gizmo. So we started by using the standard gizmo from Modeling Toolkit, but it was not exactly what we needed. So we ended up recreating a gizmo from the parts, and some parts we haven't implemented ourselves. So I have this gizmo that will not flip when we move, unlike the gizmo from the modeling toolkit, and now it has also this extent manipulator, so it can manipulate this value, which is, for this example, is the place from where those parts will appear. So for example, if we take this central part, it'll appear directly here, and if I play, you can see. And if I take this extent and move it somewhere, like here, you will see that it will appear like this. It come from the top. So that creating this gizmo was kind of interesting challenge. And now understand how it works, and we will probably create more visualizations and tools for this gizmo. So speaking of visualization, we have also those various visualization added, like you can see here the visualization of the extent, this dashed line, and then we can also show the different properties like order, in which order the parts will appear, be assembled, and so on, parent ID, etc. And we can show and hide pivots and those properties. Finally, we can also copy and paste pivots, which is useful when you want, for example, that the pivots appear in the same place. And this is done simply by doing Ctrl+C and Ctrl+V. Another part of the UE that was improved is this timeline. So first of all, we made that this scrubber, it will appear only when it works, when the material supported. And the second thing is that the play button, it will lock the play, so we can like go around and study what we did and then press stop. Now let's talk about the materials. To implement the animation effect and the materials, we decided to move them to the material layers. So if, for example, I take the material from this mesh, the material instance, you will see that the main part that defines colors, roughness, normals, etc. And in the layer parameters part, we have a layer which defines the animation. So this approach is very simple and modular. For example, if I don't need the animation, I will just remove this layer, keep it empty, and I will just have the normal material without any animation applied. And if I want one animation effect, I'll go there and add this one, or for example another, this one. So you can see it's pretty simple to use like this. And the other advantage is that if you take the material itself, which is the master material of this project. It is very complicated. Then all you need to do for support animation, for support the material layers in which we will put the animation, is to add this one node at the end, and then you can keep working on your graphical part of the material here, and somebody else, for example, will be working on the animation part. And another thing that is pretty cool, and we still have to explore it a little bit more, that you can even combine a layer. So I can, like, for example, add here another layer and combine those two effects, which I did here. For you can see I combined the assembly effect and the rotation effect to produce this, and there are animated using timeline in the blueprint, and that's something we want to investigate more in the future. Another thing we worked on is the loading and saving of assets by the tool, and there is like 3 cases of figure here. When we open the asset created with the tool, like this motor, when we open an asset that has already pivot painter UVs and maybe pivot painter textures, but not created with this tool, and we when we have a completely new asset, and we try to like help and guide the user in this process, and make things as simple, as easy as possible. For the asset like this motor created with the tool, already explained that in the previous video, we can automatically recognize the effect when we open the asset. Another case is like this little house, which is actually the little house from the Unreal Engine content examples. So this is an example of Pivot Painter 2 technique that comes with the content examples. I just copied it here, and it already has the Pivot Painter V's, and it already has the Pivot Painter textures. So if we want now to work with this set within our tool, it's possible. So we'll try to open it, and it will automatically detect the Pivot Painter with and ask us if we want to use this UV channel 1 for the UVs. And then you can see it recognizes the UVs and split the mesh in those sub-objects. And then now if we want really to reproduce the effect, we have to also assign the textures. So the effect is a kind of assembly effect, and the textures that come from the Unreal Engine context example are here. So we just simply drag and drop them here, and you can probably see the pivots on the house. When I drop this, they will change the orientation. And now we can try to apply our own effect and see how it works. So now we can fine-tune the effect. So if I remember correctly, in the Unreal, they came to all those parts came from the top. So we can like set up this here, saying that they are all coming from like 3 meters above. And then also change a little bit some parameters so it looks a little bit prettier. Apply, and here we have our assembly effect. So we can make it faster, maybe 3 seconds. And then if we click on accept, it will save all this material instance, material layer instance, and the two textures. And we can use this. And now if we reopen it, it will automatically recognize everything it needs to know. And the last case, it's when we have some new mesh we want to animate. So for example, we create a box with the modeling mode. And let's say we want to animate this. We will try to guide the user. So first, when we try to animate it, it says that the material doesn't support material layers, so we have to add one. And then it says that we have to add a UE channel to store pivot information. So let's first cancel it and put a material prepared that supports UE channels, that support material layers. And then next, we have this UE channel to add. And that's basically all. You can start to choose an animation effect and start. Already we have some result, and we accept it. It generated all those things that we can now use to animate the box. So very quickly it was animated using our plugin. Another part of the tool that was improved are the operations. The operations are functions that work on multiple parts of the mesh or multiple pivots automatically. So now instead of being represented as functions, they're represented as objects, and this allows to extend the tool more easily. And logically, the operations are now split in two types: those which modifies the structure of the mesh, and those that modifies the pivots. For the operations that modifies the structure, we added split and merge selection operation. So now you can split a selection of polygroups and in parts, and merge them together. Here we made this flower that was one part, now it contains two parts. Another type of operations are those to modify the pivots, and here we added some of them. For example, you can aim all the pivots to some point in the local space of the mesh. But they are aimed 0. Then you can reset the orientation to the center of the bounding box of the polygroup, and etc. There are some more things, like you can snap the bottom. And this part will be still improved. We will add new operations here, and we also want to make it easy for the end user to add their own operations. So maybe we will be adding the blueprint support for those later. Finally, speaking of new animation effects and materials, we mostly spent our time refactoring the animation effects as material layers, and in general looking how to organize them better. But we also experimented with some new effects, like for example, for the assembly effect here, you have various kinds of reasoning, the way these parts move. And then for the assembly effect tool, you can now specify the direction and the distance from which the parts arrive. And here another new effect which uses the parenting features. So if you look how it's done, every of those disks is parented to the bigger one, and then attach it in a different way, as you can see here, and it will inherit the rotation of the parent plus add its own, so this create this kind of gimbal effect. Finally, to speak about what are the future plans. So we consider that the editor UI part is in the very well improved, and still need some cleanup and polish. For example, we still don't have the undo operation for everything, so that's has to be done. We also think to add, of course, more of those operations and improve them, to add more parameters to them. And the most of course interesting part of the project is to create different animation effects. So when all this like UI and more programmer stuff will be it's going to be done, then we will start to make more animation effects and new cool materials. That's it for its update. Thank you for watching.